Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend, Publish, and Lead, and welcome to episode 206, Your Next Writing Year. One of the times of year that we think about academic writing is in August, when the semester is starting for many of us. It's kind of the start of new teaching. You might be starting in a new institution. You might be getting into your ABD year, your all but dissertation year, where you're going to work on your own research instead of going to classes. You might be starting with a promotion, so you might already, be promoted to associate rank or full professor rank. You might be starting in a totally new administration position. So there's lots of scenarios in August where we start thinking about scholarly writing again. But one time that doesn't get a whole lot of attention is sort of the end of the actual calendar year. And so today, what I want to talk about a little bit is how I'm thinking about what I want my next writing year to look like. This is definitely a time. This is recorded in December of 2024, and really for any December, many folks are making resolutions, right? We're thinking about next year. We want to eat a little bit better, or go to the gym more often, or get more sleep. And this isn't typically a time where people think about scholarly writing in terms of the calendar year and what they might want their next writing year to look like. So what I'm going to show on screen, and I will talk about it for audio only listeners. You don't need to see it. It's just an extra visual aid this week. I want to talk about my writing year last year and how I'm using that to think through what are some things I want to have happen this year. So what I'm sharing on screen right now is a list that I kept in Penzu that just shows a recap. And this actually wasn't kept for this particular podcast. How I'm thinking through it is that I will eventually need to do a faculty evaluation, like a yearly assessment of how I did with teaching and scholarship and all of those things. I don't have to do one every year, but I'm pretty sure I'm due in May to turn one in. So one of the things I started thinking about was, well, I need to, kind of recap my projects and so on. And so what I have on screen right now is kind of from January 2024 to December 2024, just how I landed on my writing project status, because I'm thinking of these calendar years as sort of writing years. When do I get some work completed? When are projects not complete, and so on. And one of the things that I realized about this particular academic year was that this would be one of the better years, I would say, for me getting work completed and meeting deadlines and things like that. You might go back and look at writing that you've completed between January and December and feel frustrated. We have many clients that are with us on book projects or dissertations or longer term things that they're just not completing. Like they're just, for whatever reason, months go by, they take the summer off, they avoid writing. If they're working with a co-author, the co-author doesn't come through. There's so many scenarios where this might happen. And I am going to say something about a way that you can kind of set yourself up for some January success in a minute. But if I kind of think through my academic year in starting with January of 2024 until now, so we're looking at the academic year, I looked really in four buckets. So one was, what are projects I actually completed this year? And so in terms of writing, this was great because I technically completed two books, which never happens. And for the record, this happened because stuff got delayed into this particular calendar year. This is not the way things were supposed to work out. I promise I will do an episode because I know a lot of people have kind of asked me about this, but to make a long story short, I changed a press I was going to go with for my book on academic motherhood. I'll say more about that in another episode, but that project is now completed. I've already gotten the notification from the publisher that I should expect to see my page proofs in February of 2025. So for now, that project is completed. So I had to do quite a bit with it to kind of make it where it needs to be, but I could check that one off the list. I knocked it out in the last academic year, or this academic year ending right now. I also finished a chapter for an edited collection, and I also finished an edited collection that I did with two co-editors. So all three of those things are writing projects that they're not all bigger. Two of them are, though, and they were all time consuming for various reasons. So all those I could say, yep, check the box on those. I got them all out in that academic year. Now, this doesn't mean that these are necessarily published. And in fact, All three of them aren't. Two are accepted for publication. They're going through the process to be published. Neither one will be out in 2024. They'll both get published in 2025. But the bulk of the writing came in 2024. The edited collection chapter, same thing. I don't expect to see anything on that till 2025. And then I have a bucket that I'm calling in progress. And that's because that's the project I'm working on right now in December 2024. And that is my next book, which will be about sabbaticals. So this is one that I'm currently working on. It's not complete. And it's also, I didn't even know I was going to do this project until around the end of October of 2024. So I just picked up this project. Two projects that are not complete, and I have a third one that now I'm doing this episode. I was like, oh, I really should put that on there. I actually have a sort of a half complete article that's been one with me for a long time that I just need to finish. So just like you, I have some projects that I'm not the quickest on completing or that I'm avoiding for some reason. This is one article I've mentioned many times. It's like 80% there. I just need to finish it. I also have another article that is based on some sabbatical research that I worked on in the spring. And I have a table of contents and kind of a shape of a book that I thought was going to be my next book on writing project management. The sabbatical one will probably come in just before that one, but I'm working on the two of them simultaneously in some ways. So that's, I thought I would have both those things completed by the end of this year, but no. And then something that's not started, but I know I need to do is I do write columns for Inside Higher Education. Occasionally, I didn't get one in. I might have gotten one in this academic year. I don't remember. I think it was probably in the year before, but I do like to write for them at least once a year and sometimes twice. So, looking at this year from January to December 2024, this to me seems to be like, this is a good year. You held on to your habits, you made sure you did the writing. And so one of the things I would encourage you to do is take a look at your own writing and see how many things was I able to complete. And it might be things that aren't published per se, meaning if you're a dissertation writer, maybe you completed chapters 3 and 4, and that was your goal. One, chapter 3 you did in the spring, chapter 4 you did this fall semester. Those of you that worked in articles and things like that, I didn't put conference presentations on here because I didn't do any in a traditional kind of a way this year. But conference presentations certainly could be up there. You might have done some other kinds of public scholarship, but I like just taking stock of things. Where am I with writing? What's still out there? What needs to be done? What doesn't need to be done? And what I'm showing on screen right now is in Penzu, but I actually track all the little pieces of these projects in my Asana board, which is a project management software I've talked about on the podcast. So, if you have a second, even 10 minutes to just kind of look through what did I actually knock out this year? What do I still need to do? It's also a good time to just decide, am I ever going to do that? So that one article that I mentioned that is 80% finished, I am going to do it because I owe some other people who I researched for it. I owe them that to get this article out. So it's something that I know I have to prioritize when I think through my next writing year. But I'm going to use this list to kind of think through what that next writing year might look like. And I'm going to talk about that in a follow-up episode next week about how I'm making some of those choices. Something else I want to put on your radar, keep an eye on Eventbrite because we will have a series on getting writing completed in your next writing year. That will be something that'll be coming out in January, and we encourage you to join us for that. So I know many of you checked Eventbrite. If you Google Eventbrite and Defend Publish Lead, you can find all of our events, including free webinars, which we offer once a month, along with lower cost workshops. So these are some ways that I might think through this. Another thing that I might throw on your radar would be thinking through any of your academic memberships and where those are. So even though these aren't writing projects per se, many times they're adjacent to our writing projects. So for example, if you were paying to use a certain tool, did you actually use that tool to do your writing projects, or do you need something else? Many of our clients will pay for, say, a more advanced version of in vivo or some kind of a software that helps with coding or some of the ways that they manage data. I would look at some of those things as part of your whole writing look for the year. Are these tools I used? Were they helpful? Do I need another tool? This is another time that you might be looking at some of those issues as well. Also academic memberships and other ways to support yourself. So as you know, that Textbook and Academic Authors Association is one of our sponsors. It is our only sponsor at the moment. And I know that particular membership for me, it's the cheapest membership I have all year. I always say that. Even if you check our show notes, there's a great discount code for you. But more importantly, that's a membership I use. I actually I log in as a member and I look at the webinars they run every month, and they've got all kinds of different supports. There's templates and resources and things like that to support me as a writer. So when I'm taking a look at my writing year, this writing year in review, what are some things I'm using? What are some things I'm not using? So for example, there was a scholarly journal that I subscribed to that I thought was going to be really helpful to me. And it was just okay. I don't want to renew it again. It's a good time to just say, nope, I don't want that thing. Is it on auto renew? Can I cancel that and maybe use that money to support my writing in some other way? So I hope this gives you some ideas about thinking through your next writing year as you kind of take that past look. In our next episode, it'll be part 2 to this one, where I talk about some of the decisions I'm making about my next upcoming writing year. So happy writing, everyone.